Coach Rivera is giving them off until Wednesday.
Oh.
I mean, everybody gets excited for extra days off, even highly compensated NFL players.
I know we criticize Rivera for being very stoic on the sideline with his demeanor most of the time and not being into it. He was pumped up in the locker room if you watch the scene.
I want to hear some of the post game. The audio.
On Wednesday.
Yes. No. Hey. No. Victory Tuesday. Here we go. That Victory Tuesday. Y'all off till Wednesday.
Everybody likes a day off.
Yeah,
Certainly
get the
do.
extra day off. Nicely done there, Ron. Ron was fired up.
Ron was fired up. You got a dub, man. I'm telling you. I
That's
was
what
saying
dubs do for you.
I was saying if he lost, he could get fired, and thinking that they would lose this game and to Seattle. Jason actually nailed the exact score, 20-17. I wasn't that far off.
Props.
I had the Patriots, but I had it 19-18. It was in that range. But Ron, he might have felt the pressure.
Oh, he
I'm
feels
sure
the
he probably
pressure.
feels it every minute.
100%.
Of course he feels the pressure.
So he's fired up.
He knows he's under the microscope.
He
with
was
Josh
fired
Harris
up
and
in the
company.
locker room because that definitely hooks him for a couple of weeks.
It buys him a little time, and obviously they'll have a tough challenge. I think they have Seattle this week, right? So
Yeah.
Seattle will
Seattle.
be pissed off after that
After getting
game.
embarrassed.
Yeah, so
What an embarrassment,
They
Dravy.
laid a big old egg in Baltimore.
Ooh.
that
my.
kind of sucks for us because I think we'll get their best effort.
I'm happy, by the way, that our survivor pick, we advanced
Yes.
with the Saints. But, man, the Browns tuned up the Cardinals.
I mean, the
They
Cardinals, I think they have less than 60 yards of total offense.
Yes.
I don't even think they didn't even come close to the red
scoring.
zone.
No.
They came nowhere near the end zone.
Because that was one of those deals where Cakes and I lobbied hard for the Browns.
Browns.
Yeah.
Actually using Jason's logic, which was Jason likes to go against a bad team on the road with a backup quarterback.
Right.
So we were, hey, go against Clayton Tune. And that one wasn't even close. And the Saints was a sweat.
That was a big-time sweat.
was. They
Now,
couldn't-
luckily, Tyson Bagent, all he did was
Turn the ball
he would
over.
have the football and say, I don't want this any
Right,
longer.
right.
I'm going to give it to the guys in the opposing jersey color because I think he had 4 turnovers in the game, and the Saints salted it away late. But, yeah, that one was more of a sweat than I was expecting.
Don't believe me. I was watching both of those games, and obviously Cleveland just started to roll early, and I said, "Oh boy, here we go."
And somebody tweeted at me in the middle of the game, and I was like, you know what? If our pick loses, I will go down with the ship. It's a group effort. But I tweeted that I picked the guys wearing the orange helmets. That was the team I was
Okay, but
lobbying
hold
for.
on. The Saints won the game.
Understood.
All right, we advanced. They
I
won
get
the
it.
game.
There's no
It
style
wasn't
points here.
convincing. Wasn't convincing, but they won the game.
And to credit Jason again, he had the Commanders winning 20-17.
Very
he nailed
good.
the score.
Yeah, I did.
It shouldn't have been that close. Let's be
Yeah, it
real.
should have been what I said.
The-
Should have been a cruiser.
The
we were
Commanders
cruising.
offense, it's different. Like, I think now we have enough evidence. Eric Bieniemy's offense is better than Scott Turner's offense. He's had a couple duds, all right? Giants game was a dud. They scored 7. Bears game was a dud. They scored 3. But they flashed that stat at the end of the game where, they've had back-to-back 400-yard games for the first time in 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what happens when you actually lean into your top 2 targets and you look Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson's way. Good things happen for your offense when that
15
happens.
targets for those guys.
Right, and I think you're going to see more of that going forward, along with sprinkles from other guys like Byron Pringle popping up, De'Ami
And
Brown.
Gibby, they use Gibby a little bit.
Gibby's getting more involved in the passing game.
And you know what? The offensive line has been better.
Right.
Offensive line's been better. They made it.
Turns out
They made a change at center.
putting
It
in
was big.
Tyler Larson at center has been a serious upgrade.
And I think their play calling better, more quicker developing plays.
Yeah.
And that's why you're seeing a lower sack count. Sam,
3. It was 3.
I've been sold on Sam for a long time, but
Sam was
see.
good. The pick was bad, but Sam was good.
yep,
Sam was
bad
really
pick. The brain fart, but
Yeah, I mean,
that's life.
You just got to throw that thing in the back of the end zone.
I overall, I thought he was, outstanding. So a lot of things.
He
to be
made
excited
some
about.
really good throws with pressure,
Yep.
like when he was about to get hit.
That kid is not flustered. He's not phased. The only thing that people seem to have an issue with is the sack thing, and you need, scheme around him and help him, and he'll be just fine. So,
well, let's talk about
excited.
the worst call in the history of the NFL when KJ Henry sacked and forced the fumble. That was the worst call.
I was like cheating.
That might have been the worst call I've ever seen.
The players have to band together and go to the NFLPA this offseason and tell them that you have to make an impassioned plea to the league to get rid of this awful rule that you can no longer sack a quarterback.
The only reason why I won't say it's the worst call,
I was going to say if that was the difference in the game and that field goal would have been, if they would have won by 3, what the aftermath would have been like here in town, because that was awful.
The only reason I won't say it's the worst call is because I've seen it throughout the league.
Yeah,
it's game in and game out. That's what they call.
Okay, maybe it was the recency, but that was awful.
I mean, on a similar note, is it Patrick Ricard? Am I getting his name correct? Valdez, the fullback from Baltimore. He was fined I think it was $20,000+ for finishing a block in a game. Like nothing egregious. He just went into the hole, met his guy, and I think drove him into the ground, which is what you're supposed to do as a fullback. That's your job description. And players are getting fined for that and for just tackling and sacking quarterbacks. It's outrageous. You got to take the gloves off at some point.
It's the worst it's ever been.
They've overcorrected.
There's a officiating problem in the NFL.
There is.
And then the problem is that a lot of these teams are all kind of the same.
Right.
And there's not that many drives / plays to separate yourself. So these calls are super important, super big, and super critical.
And I understand that. Look,
and they're deciding games.
If you want to protect players' heads and reduce concussions, I'm all for that. But if you're just making a standard sack, a standard tackle, I'm sorry, a 300-pound defensive end or tackle, he can't shift his body weight in the middle of a sack and land on the side. Part of his body's going to land on the quarterback.
Then there's no consistency. It changes week to week.
Yeah, it's awful.
You might have a crew that lets you play hard-nosed and hand fight and tough and get away with stuff, and then you have another one that's ticky-tack and will call every single thing and march you straight down the field with flags.
Those guys, I understand that they don't get fired or, I don't know how they get graded, but those guys shouldn't be able to ref a game next week.
Sure. That's
There's
fine.
got to be some backups.
Yeah.
None of those guys should be able to, especially the guy who made the call.
There were a lot of bad calls. I mean, Manny Forbes was interfered with. He had an interception.
That's true.
And the guy was butt early,
grabbed
pulled his arms back.
Right.
Yeah.
They did miss a Jamin Davis face mask, which did happen. It was light, but it did happen. So it was spotty.
Hey, congratulations, though, to Ron Rivera for winning a challenge. It was a week late.
Good job, Ron.
He actually reacted.
What's funny
to
about the challenge,
all the guys on the sideline.
I put up an instant poll. We'll call it the Junkies poll today, brought to you by Van Meter Homes during the game. And I said, who do you give the credit for? James Smith-Williams, who clearly faked an injury to buy time.
Good job.
Or Ron Rivera, because he's ultimately the decider of whether they do challenge the call. 87% James Smith-Williams.
Wow, very
Ron
good.
Rivera gets no credit from the fans for winning a challenge.
Well, give the Commanders credit. They're the first team on the bubble on the outside looking in of the NFC playoff picture with that win.
Well, that's what we said last week. We said a win gets you to 4-5. You're right in the mix.
They have an in-season playoff game this week.
Yes.
Because this is a huge 2-game swing with the Seahawks, who I believe are right now the 5 seed. I think they're the 5 or the 6 seed.
Minnesota's the 7, so probably the 5.
But Seattle's in there. So if they're able to upset Seattle on the road, huge swing game for them. It's a playoff. It's basically a playoff game.
Do you expect that, though, Cakes?
BGOTY, biggest game of the year.
Do you expect that based on who they've beaten?
Do I expect an upset?
What's the combined record of the teams that the Commanders have beaten?
It can't be great.
So they beat the Cardinals, who have 1 win.
Yep.
Falcons 4.
Falcons would be the best team they've beaten.
Denver 3, and who am I missing?
And then yesterday.
They don't have any signature 2 exciting wins.
That said,
sure.
the Dolphins are 6-3, and they have yet to beat a winning team.
Right.
You could do it. Just depends on your schedule.
They just need, if the Seahawks play the way they played yesterday, next week, the Commanders will beat them.
But it's not going to happen.
But they may have played on the road the best team in football.
Way better.
Understood. They should play better.
You can make an argument the Ravens are the best team in football right now.
Yeah. You could argue that.
The way they're playing, they're certainly the best team in the AFC, in my opinion.
The Ravens did not do us any favors by giving them that beatdown.
It was
But I think Drab has said it. Geno hasn't played like he did last year, right, Drab? You're the Seahawks guy.
I'd say the bloom is off the rose. There's a lot of issues.
You're
It's
a
not
big
all
Gino guy. About
I love Gino.
9
I'll go
months
down
ago.
with Gino.
I don't want to
Forever
do
Gino
a
guy.
bad Blake Shelton impression, but somebody here predicted this.
Back patting machine. Get it out
ready.
early on a Monday, on a
Come
Victory
back to
Monday.
earth from Gino.
That was a bludgeoning.
You celebrate Gino, then you tear him down. Then you know.
Well, I root for him because he's an underdog, but I told you that was an outlier.
All right, you write Gino off. We've seen this before.
Well, they were outmanned. Look, they were outmanned
Now,
in every
Gino,
position.
he could bounce back against what I still believe is a bad secondary. It's just Mac Jones couldn't take advantage of them yesterday.
Seattle
Gino
is
has not been on the same page with DK Metcalf. He's had issues. We'll see if they bounce back against the Commanders.
How many catches did Metcalf have?
1
Oh.
for 50 yards, but yeah.
Seattle's going to be a lot better this weekend.
Everyone's
be a lot
allowed a
better.
stinker.
Plenty of time
Sure.
to talk
They
about
can't
the
be
Seattle
worse.
game. We should say, look, I don't know how much credit you give the defense without Chase Young and Montez Sweat, but they only gave up 17 points. Context does matter. It's the Patriots, and Mac Jones appears to be terrible.
They didn't get.
They
didn't
don't
get
have
pressure,
He
receivers.
doesn't appear to be terrible. He actually is terrible.
Yeah,
Well,
didn't
he had a couple of drops that would have extended drives. I mean, Schuster's got to make that catch. Who was the other guy who dropped his deep ball?
Might have been
Douglas. No, Douglas.
Mario Douglas. Okay.
He dropped that deep ball. That would have set up a score. So
By the way,
he had a couple drops.
Is Jalen Rager going to play for every team in the NFL? That guy's like on a different
maybe it was
roster,
Rager. Yeah,
like
maybe it was
all
Rager.
the time.
No, but he definitely had drops. But look, we knew that going in. The Patriots offense doesn't score many points.
Right, they're terrible. Yeah.
They took advantage of a short field, right, on one of the touchdown drives.
The fumble from Robinson, yeah.
Yeah. But credit the defense for holding them to 17 points.
Yep.
They did not pressure the quarterback without Chase Young and Montez Sweat. 0 sacks.
He had too much time, I'd say, but they
Didn't
bring
really
extra
hear from
pressure.
didn't really hear from Tuhill. He didn't pop in the game, and
Well,
James Smith-Williams did on the challenge. To me, that was like, he had one play beyond that you kind of noticed him, but noticed him the most when he faked the injury.
I thought
And
that,
they won the challenge.
I thought that they did a good job of getting rid of the ball quickly, though. I mean, Mac Jones wasn't great, but they did quicker developing plays too, and it's hard to get there when you do that. So
Maybe.
But
Well, he
sacks
did
may
take a
be
couple
hard.
deep
They
shots.
may be hard to come by throughout the rest of the season. When you deal your top 2 sack guys, it's generally the way that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thrilled.
But
Great win.
yeah, it's a win.
Great win.
You're 4-5.
Should have been a lot easier, but we made it hard on ourselves.
Do you want the guy on the other sideline?
Which one?
We spent the whole
Belichick?
time last
Bill?
week
Oh,
talking
Bill?
about him.
No, I never wanted him ever. I'm out on him. I don't want their quarterback, and I don't want their head coach.
What
They
a
don't even want
devastating
their quarterback.
What a devastating call that was, though, for them when they had the offsides on the punt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that
Oh, yeah.
was a hook.
They gave him the first down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's open up the phone lines, see what the people feel. What are your takeaways? The Commanders get a win against the Patriots, improved to 4-5. Cakes went through the playoff scenario. They're just on the outside looking in at the playoffs.
I don't think we should talk playoffs unless they could find a way to beat
Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah.
If they find a way to beat Seattle,
Because
which
then you have to beat the Giants.
I don't think I can even pick us this week. I don't even know.
Where are they offensively now in the rankings? I got to believe they're closing in on the top 10, no?
For what?
In yardage?
Total
Maybe,
yardage.
but the points haven't gotten there quite yet, I don't think.
I'll give you the yardage, total yards.
Like yesterday, they should have had more than 20, but
I mean, the Dolphins right now are the number 1 team in yardage per game. They average 435, by the way. That's coming down.
No, Washington's still middle of the pack, 332.
Okay.
So it looks like
So it
they're
didn't move that much.
no, because they had some really bad games where they didn't put up anything.
And they don't run the ball a lot.
Right.
They average 90 rushing yards per game.
So I don't know where that ranks
It's going to
them.
knock you down.
Looks like it's right around 15th.
17th.
Okay.
In
all I
terms
know
of
is it
yardage.
should have been a drubbing. We dominated time of possession. You know, the Sam's interception, and I love Sam Howell, but it was his worst interception, I think, of his career.
It's a pretty bad one.
Just a total brain fart.
But again,
I'll write it off as a brain fart.
It's a young player mistake.
Yeah, I don't think it's a trend.
Yeah.
Just,
Hopefully not.
Just a horrible play, but that's fine. We gave up points there.
Mm-hmm.
It just should have been, and then obviously the Brian Robinson fumble, which
He never
we all-
fumbles.
he doesn't fumble very often, and we understand it. That guy made a great play, just punched it out of his hand. You know,
Yep.
I don't even know how much I blame him. The other guy just made a great play, but it was a huge momentum changer. Those two plays alone just changed the total dynamic of the game, and he had to claw back into it.
Well, and then the fumble that should have been a fumble with Mac Jones, that should have led to at least 3 that they gave the automatic first down to.
Was that on the KJ Henry play? Yeah.
So you get the ball at midfield there and, probably score at least a field goal.
Yeah.
And you flip it over, they give up the field goal.
I think in a lot of ways,
you're right.
We dominated that game, and, I thought we deserved that game, so I'm glad that we were able to pull it out.
Here are a couple takeaways on Twitter. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. Opening up the phone lines, the MGM National Harbor listener lines to you. Your takeaways on a Victory Monday, which is presented by Chiniga Mayos. Join the mission at careerswithmios.com. Charlie tweets us, the defensive line was not much different than any other week this year. Maybe you feel that way. They didn't get any sacks, but this one from... J.P. Finley's ears. Sam is growing into a very good NFL quarterback. Jamin Davis is not good. NFL officiating sucks.
That's true.
This one from 12th Man. O-line better since Larson and Paul have started. I think it's apparent 2 weeks in.
Well, I think also Bieniemy is calling better games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's adapting to the bad offensive line by dialing up the quicker game.
Now, here's a negative one from P-Jack. We barely beat a bad team.
Yeah, but that was a lot all self-inflicted stuff. And great, half and half. Self-inflicted, the Sammy play was terrible. B-Rob, the other guy, just made a great play.
A lot of positive ones. Here's another negative, though. Stan, our secondary is still bad.
I don't know. I thought Forbes was great. Forbes had a great comeback game for him.
Yeah, he played much better. You do have to consider the offense that they were playing.
Right.
Really
it's a substandard NFL offense.
It really is.
It's fine.
But a win's a win. That's every time we come in here, you got to bank the wins.
They're going to take a step up. They have to cover Lockett, Metcalf, and JSN.
That's going to be a challenge.
Next week. That'll
be a challenge.
That's going to be tough.
Hey, Valdez, I'll let you chime in, and if Drive, you can if you want. How did the Ravens just manhandle the Seahawks? I didn't see 1 second of it.
Well, they ran the ball down their throat.
I have no idea.
Do you remember Keaton Mitchell from the preseason, the running back?
That was the little guy that I liked?
Yeah.
I scouted.
He had 9 carries for 138 yards.
Wow. Was it his breakout game this year?
Yes.
Yeah. Plus the Gus Bus scores 2 touchdowns every week.
And then Lamar ran for 60.
Yeah.
They ran the ball.
They ran
unbelievably well. And then they get to the quarterback.
And then efficient passing. It was a butt kick.
They
actually rubbed salt in the wound by giving OBJ a birthday touchdown.
Hey, you hit on that end of the parlay.
Tyler Huntley. It wasn't even from Lamar.
Yeah, they took out Lamar with like 8 minutes.
Out of hand. They said, Lamar, take a seat. Your job is done here. You're good. We're going to throw Tyler Huntley in the mix. And he throws a touchdown.
You know how like they give the water boy a goal line carry in high school?
Yeah.
This was like what they did with OBJ. They were killing him so much that they gave that old fart a touchdown.
Grab, you have any comments? Anything you want to add, or no? It just is what it is.
Sometimes you're not the better team.
Sometimes you're the hammer. Sometimes you're the nail.
I feel fine. I mean, they've got their butts kicked before. It's only one loss. Geno wasn't great. The offensive line was terrible, but I don't know. The defense wasn't that bad. They were just out there all day because the Seahawks couldn't convert any first downs. They had like 2 first downs the whole first half.
You're taking a beating like a man. I appreciate that.
The Ravens' defense is just... that's really good. They get after the passer.
Mike McDonald's going to be a head coach. He should be Washington's head coach. But
no defensive guys. Remember, that's the mantra. That is the edict going forward. Once Ron is gone, offensive mind comes in.
We'll have our How Eval, our official How Eval at 6:45. We do that every Monday at 6:45. Just a couple of the stats in the game. All right, they win 20-17. You could say they were fortunate because the last ball, which is picked off by Quan Martin, who was on the field. Quan Martin was on the field.
Producing.
Could have been caught, which probably would have put them in field goal range to tie the game. But Washington outgains the Patriots 432 yards to 327.
Right.
You look at some key stats, too, like third down efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots were 3 for 12 on third down. Commanders were 9 for 17.
Right.
Commanders actually were able to run the football in this game, outran the Patriots 124 to 107. Now, the bugaboo that continues for the Commanders is they give up big plays. And the big play this week was the Stevenson run.
64
It's a long
yards.
touchdown run. So we will see what happens against a more explosive offense. But it is a Victory Monday. Bask in it. It's been a while. Commanders are 4-5 now. And actually 3-2 on the road.
Yeah.
Well,
Told you. By the way, that I guess it was a new screen they put up there in New
Gillette?
England. That
Yeah.
thing was
I
spectacular.
think it's the biggest video board in the country.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful. But I was listening to J.P. Finley as I was driving in, and he said that place was just dead.
Really?
Dead quiet, even though there was a lot of people there.
Well, when
Yeah.
you're 2-6
Just
and about to go to 2-7,
Yeah.
I mean the fans start to lose interest.
Right.
And you're also jaded.
Right.
You won 6 Super Bowls, but you were in 10
yeah.
during the Brady era. You were in 10 Super Bowls in basically
Hey, you know what?
17, 18
You know what,
years.
Skippy, good. You think I feel bad for all those Southies who've had it so good for so long?
Yeah, nobody cares about
I
them.
don't feel bad.
I'm not
for them
saying I feel
one
bad
bit.
for them. I'm just saying if you were one of them, you'd
Right.
be jaded, and now all of a sudden you're seeing an inferior product.
Again, good. Take some lumps, Southies. It's your turn. Okay? Take
All right,
them.
let's bang on a few of these calls. We get to our Howie
Just think if they would have beaten the Giants. And
Well,
now
well,
they're 5-3.
I mean-
or no.
I will.
Yeah,
I
5-4.
guarantee
5-4.
this: they will beat the Giants next time around because, especially if Tommy DeVito is the
Don't
quarterback,
jinx us, Kicks.
I guarantee they beat the Giants unless the Giants somehow upgrade a quarterback in the next 2 weeks.
Well, Tyrod could return, right?
Maybe.
He's on the IR, I think, till like
I think he's got to miss 4 games.
yeah. I don't think he.
I
he
think
might
Tommy
not-
DeVito is the guy unless they bring in somebody else.
I mean,
They're gonna
guys-
have to
if they
bring somebody
lose to
else.
Tommy DeVito or anybody else off the
Can't
streets,
lose to them.
shut it down.
yes.
There's
I
some
don't-
bad quarterbacks.
I don't
in the
think
league
there's
right
a
now.
chance they can lose to Tommy DeVito.
All right, let's
Saquon
go
goes
to-
for 200 yards.
Let's go to Paul in D.C. Paul, what's up, buddy? You're on with the Junkies.
Hey, good morning, fellas, man. I'm telling y'all, man, listen to y'all sometime, man. I'm serious, man. I just start laughing, man.
Thanks,
But,
buddy.
yeah, man, we can't lose to this dude, man, whoever he was. But yesterday's game, man, you got to win games like that. We're not that much better than New England. But then when you look at the rest of the pack, man, it's not a whole lot of good, things going on. There's not a lot of domination that's going on in this league, except for maybe a couple of teams. So I'm just going to have to deal with Rivera and Del Rio and EB and see what it's going to look like next year, man. But we're going to ride this thing through, man.
Well,
All right.
you're
Thank
right.
you,
You're
buddy.
riding Sam Howell, who, by the way, in his last 5 games has 1,510 passing yards, first in the league, and 10 touchdowns, tied for first in the league.
Is that
Yeah.
true in the last 5 weeks?
The last 5 weeks,
Yeah.
he's crushing.
He's been good.
The thing which, and I agree with you really shouldn't talk about playoffs, but the thing about the NFC is the Vikings are the last playoff team right now. And they had a guy play quarterback, and it's a great story. I love the Josh Dobbs story. All right. He didn't even really know the plays. He had
Right.
to cram.
He didn't know the cadence. They were showing him the cadence on the sideline, and Kevin O'Connell was in his helmet, in the mic, basically breaking down the plays for him as the play clock was bleeding down
Shows you how
for every
smart
play.
Never
that guy
practiced.
is.
That's how
That's
that's
sick.
how smart the kid is.
Yeah.
But they said that the kind of his advantage was he didn't need to learn the playbook. He just needed to know the game plan.
Right.
So he crammed on the game plan, but he doesn't know the plays. And I looked at it. He's been on obviously 3 teams this season. All right.
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 Cleveland, Zona, and now Minnesota. But if you go back to last season, it's like 5.
Yeah.
And a mind-numbingly horrible loss for Arthur Smith.
Correct.
Like, if you're Arthur Smith, you cannot lose that game. You can't lose a game to a guy who's learning the plays on the fly, who hasn't had a practice with the team. Terrible loss for him.
Their next 3 games are Saints, Broncos, Bears. Then they play the Raiders in Vegas. But
Right.
They got some winnable games if Dobbs can become accustomed to the
Heineke played
to the
all right,
offense.
but Dobbs came in and threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for a touchdown. It's just a great story.
Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, what's up, buddy? You're on the Junkies.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. Play the
Big
music,
Sam-
Cakes. Come on.
Big Sam Howell fan. The
All right.
interception he threw should have never happened because they should have called a timeout. Ron Rivera holds on the timeouts like he can save him for the next half.
Why? Why do you think you should have called the timeout? Remind me of the scenario.
Well, they made a long pass down the sideline. There's 20-some seconds left, second quarter. They run up to the ball. I think it was a dead ball, and then they run the play real quick, and he throws an interception. You had 3 timeouts. You could have taken one.
Yeah, but maybe they don't want the defense to get set.
But why would they need a timeout there? I don't understand.
They didn't need a timeout.
Yeah,
He's
but
just
why
saying
to formulate a play that made sense. That play that they ran, they had 2 receivers within 4 yards of each other. Should have never happened. They should have run something completely different.
Well, I mean, it's easy to say that now. Obviously, Kevin, it was a bad throw.
Well,
I mean, it was.
I think you just chalk it up to Hal just made a brain fart.
Yeah, it was a bad throw.
You guys are defending Ron. They should have called a timeout. You got 3 timeouts. He does this all the time. He saves timeouts and then winds up.
He didn't have 3
using them.
timeouts, by the way, because they used the timeout on that drive. With a minute 46 left, Hal was sacked, and they used the timeout.
So they had 2?
Yes. Then you had the incredible scramble, all right, where it was 3rd and 23, and he scrambled for 24 yards and had a first down.
Right.
And then if you want to go to that particular play, they had 3rd and 10. Hal hit Pringle for 16 yards. Then it was 1st and goal at the 5, and he tried to pass it to Dotson. It was picked off.
Well, there you go. 1st and goal at the 5. Call timeout. Formulate a good play.
Scott really desperate for a timeout.
Right. Desperate for a timeout.
He decides to formulate a play.
Yeah, he's
Formulate a play.
They had a play.
Like they don't have 10,000 plays already on hand.
Listen, I'm a huge Sam Howell guy. He just butchered the play. It's
Yeah.
I'm sure there was not. I'm sure he just butchered it.
He's going to go.
Fine.
He's resolute. Somebody else tweeted that, though, too. I just think it's a hindsight thing that, because they easily could have had a touchdown on the next play. Mm-hmm. They had been moving the ball. The key play on that drive, like I said, was that scramble, which was incredible. Mm-hmm. He's done that a couple times this year. He's tough to take down. A couple guys, he should have gone down about 6 yards short.
They are pretty, but he's such a tough big
He's a
kid.
bull.
Yeah, he's a bull.
He's a bull, and the 2 corners or whoever tried to tackle him, they tried to arm tackle him, and he got through it. And he got the first down, and the drive continued, drove him all the way down to the 5. All right, maybe he should have called timeout.
Why?
I'm not saying. I'm not saying
he shouldn't have thrown the mind-numbing pick.
Correct.
Yes. But again, I'll give him a slight pass. He's a young quarterback. He's still developing, and hopefully, going forward, you're not going to see that again. That he gets in that situation.
The play to Pringle.
Throw it away. Do anything but throw it to the other team.
The play before that to Pringle where they got the 16 yards, did Pringle go out of bounds? I can't remember if he went out of bounds to stop the clock.
By the way, I also give credit to Bieniemy.
I think so.
Okay. Bieniemy is getting guys like Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder involved in the offense.
Well, Crowder's been huge.
I mean, the addition of Crowder, I was like, okay, he's a punt returner. He's not going to do anything on offense. But with Samuel sidelined, especially, he has a real role in the offense.
No. He's been huge. It's been the best in-season pickup, I think, in years here.
Good personnel move.
A good personnel move.
We like to kill Ron and the personnel staff a lot. We'll tip our cap for that. Picking up Crowder, solid move.
But I'll reiterate, they didn't need to call timeout because if you look at the series before that, 1st and 10, Hal pass incomplete. So clock stops. They're able to huddle. 2nd and 10, Hal pass incomplete to Bates, which could have been a touchdown.
Yeah, that's when
Bates was wide open. But again, you can huddle up after that. So now 3rd and 10, you hit Pringle. Plenty of time. I think there's 41 seconds when they start the play. Mm-hmm. All right, so yes, the clock is moving, but it wasn't a panic situation. They got a play in. He rolls to the right, and he throws a pick.
Yep.
I don't think he needed time.
Hey, bottom line is that didn't come back to haunt them. They won the game 20-17. Winners. 4-5. Going to Seattle, going to be very difficult, but the Giants the following week, I believe, is the Giants. Can't lose to them. Cannot lose to the New York Giants.
No.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to win against Seattle.
That would be.
You got to start racking up.
That
wins.
would be huge because then you got Cowboys, Dolphins, the 2 weeks after the Giant game.
Yeah, I don't know,
but
I just don't feel that great about it. It's
going to be difficult.
I wish Seattle had a better showing, but
I think Seattle-Washington could be a pew-pew shootout in the Pacific Northwest. I think there could be a lot of offense in this game, Drabby. What say you?
I hope it's 3-0 Seahawks.
Oh! Nobody wants to see that.
I don't. I just want to see a dub. I know our weakness is. I know what's going to happen already. I've seen this a million times, so I'm ready. I'm ready for Sunday.
What's the biggest
Well, we're
weakness?
just going to change. Well, our weakness is when we have we put 3 wide receivers out there because we're trying to get Smith and Jigba involved.
Right.
And they're terrible. The Seahawks do well when they put 100 tight ends in the game and they cram the ball up your throat. That's what I want to see. Okay, I want to see Kenny Walker with 44 rushes next week.
Hey, speaking of tight ends, I get to slap Drab's ass with a paddle.
Oh, you do?
We're forgetting about that.
I have forgotten about that.
I didn't. I can't
You guys had a bet because of the Ravens Seahawks game.
It was bull crap. I'm just going to say that. I didn't talk any trash about the Ravens all week. Somehow in the last minute of the show on Friday, I got hoodwinked.
You got bullied?
I got bullied in some stupid bet that I agreed to that if the Seahawks lost by double digits and Odell scored a touchdown, I would let Valdez spank me. Meanwhile, it's 30-3, and Odell is such a diva, they're throwing him the ball on 1st and goal with 4 minutes left in the game. I hate that guy. He scores an 8-yard reception, first reception of the game.
Right.
He's pointing first down. He's so annoying. He's washed.
Well, that's true. No doubt.